Hi guys, it's Ellie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am discussing my top 10 favorite books of 2019. Honestly, narrowing it down to 10 was very hard. But compared to 2018, I read less books in 2019. I read like 80 books or so. And the previous year, I had read over 100, I think, as far as I remember. But the thing is, it's okay. I had a very hectic life in 2019. There was a lot of work increasing. There was a lot of new things that I was trying. There's studies, obviously. So it's okay. I chose these 10 books very arbitrarily. My total favorites was over 25, but I have left a link in the description below to a website page and you can check out all my favorites there. It's actually a Storytel page and all these books are actually available on Storytel, the ones in the list. But I have also added a few that are not. If you want to listen to these audiobooks on Storytel, my trial code is storytel.com/Ellie and that will give you a 30-day free trial of all Storytel books. First book that I really want to talk about is Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is about this woman called Evelyn Hugo and she is a bisexual character in this book. When you start reading this book, you see it from the point of view of a reporter who has gone to interview this person called Evelyn Hugo. She's now extremely old and she wants to narrate her life story to this girl. And there's like a nice twist towards the end. I really didn't like the twist as much as I liked the whole novel, because the whole novel is full of twists and turns and a lot of emotions and a lot of subtleties in them. Okay, because Evelyn Hugo, being an actress, she can't really be in love with a woman at the point of time that she is in. There are a lot of things that she goes through. There are a lot of things that she does which are considered as sins, and she explains why she committed these sins. The kind of life she leads is not something that we will probably ever think about if we see from our point of view, but it's new, it's fresh, and it's extremely entertaining to read. I love the writing style as well. Sometimes what happens is that audiobooks sound very boring if the writing style isn't good, but that was not the case with this book, and overall I loved this book extremely. The next book that I want to recommend is this book called Gun by Fuminori Nakamura. There are a lot of books by Fuminori Nakamura on Storytel, but I will recommend Gun because I loved it the most, and also it was the first book by Fuminori Nakamura that I read. This author explores psychological states extremely brilliantly in his books. His books are not about crime, but more of what is going on in the mind of the criminal or the person who is associated with the crime. That is what I love the most about his books. When you are reading his books, you are not feeling like, okay, why did he do this? Or why will someone kill someone for this? Or what is he going to do next? Or who did what? You are just thinking what this person is thinking, and you're trying to understand why this person is thinking what they are thinking. If it makes any sense, a lot of times we look at crime and we think, oh my god, that's a disgusting thing to do. But his books sort of delve into the psyche of the criminal. You might feel as a criminal, like a criminal, when you're reading his books even, and I think that's extremely funny. But otherwise, I highly recommend his books because they explore the psychological state very well, and that is something I'm extremely interested in. I love psychological thrillers, but I won't call his books psychological thrillers exactly. Next favorite was Her Stories by Sanjukta Dasgupta. By the way, it is edited by Sanjukta Dasgupta. Her Stories is a collection of a lot of Bengali short stories by women, about women, and they explore the state of women in India, their dependence, their emotional vulnerabilities, their strengths, their familial lives, how choice becomes extremely narrow for women who get married most of the times, and how the crimes against women are something that we really don't bat an eye if we see most of the times. When I read Her Stories, I was extremely shocked at how normalized crimes and abuses against women are. I think all women at some point of time have been exposed to injustice or unfairness just because they are women, and yeah, this book sort of underlines a lot of such situations. There are like 8 stories and all of them were extremely good. The next book that I want to talk about is The Penelopead by Margaret Atwood. Penelope was the wife of Odysseus, and the popularity of Iliad and Odyssey is massive. When we read these books, we see these wars and all from a patriarchal point of view. We read about how the men were extremely valiant, the men died, the women were left distraught. But when you read Penelopead, you see the life of Penelope, who was the wife of Odysseus, and how she struggled for so many years in the absence of Odysseus just to keep his kingdom to themselves. Okay, she also had a lot of suitors who came to her just because they wanted the kingdom and wanted to marry her for that, but she did a lot of things to keep them at bay. When you read about Penelope, you find that she is no less than Odysseus. Okay, we know that Odysseus was extremely clever, the Trojan horse thing. Okay, but the thing that Penelope was making for the shroud, yeah, that was quite clever actually, to keep the suitors off. If you don't know the story, I won't tell it more because that will sort of act like a spoiler. But if you do, you know the Shroud story already. The next book that I want to talk about is My Sister, the Syrian Killer by Oinkan Braithwaite. I hope that I'm going to say it right. This book is about two sisters. One of them is extremely beautiful, the other is not. And the beautiful sister sort of has a very, very small issue. She kills people when she gets into fights or just doesn't like them. The older sister always helps her in sort of washing things up and keeping her safe. However, finally, this younger sister likes the guy that the older sister likes, and the guy also likes the younger sister. So the older sister is now very worried about what will happen to this guy. She obviously doesn't want him dead. She doesn't have any problem if others die, though. It was quite ironical, but the way the book ended was very shocking. I did not expect that it'll end that way. This book was nominated for quite a few prizes this year, as far as I know, and I'm sad that as far as I know, it didn't win any of them as yet, but I really, really hope that it does. The next book that I want to recommend is Strange Weather in Tokyo. By the way, I read a lot of Japanese and Korean literature this year, I guess. So, Strange Weather in Tokyo is a book that will leave you with a haunting sense of memories, a haunting sense of what relationships mean to us and what our relationship with others mean for them. This book was extremely strange, to be honest. I love the title, and honestly, I could not make a lot of what happened inside this book, but I liked it nevertheless, and I think that you might like it too if you like books that make no sense to you sometimes. The next book will be Milk Teeth by Amrita Mahale, set in Maharashtra. This book explores a time that I was not born in, and I love reading about. Has this ever happened? You are nostalgic for a time that didn't even exist for you. It's beautiful, it's lovely to read, and there's a sense of the past that looms over inside this novel, and it's just beautiful. This is also a book that was nominated for a lot of prizes that I was rooting for, but sadly, as far as I know, this also didn't win any as yet. I hope it does though, because Milk Teeth is such a beautiful book. Every sentence is written with a lot of care and nurture, and you can just feel it in the lines and pages. The next is my psychological thriller favorite of this year. I didn't read a lot of psychological thrillers this year, by the way, sorry. But this book was so good. It's about this woman who just shuts up after a tragic event, and it borders on a very, very ancient Greek tragedy, which I was not aware of. But once I did get aware of it, I loved it. I loved it so much. This book is definitely one of the best psychological thrillers written in this year. In 2019, I don't think a lot of good psychological thrillers came out. The best ones, reportedly, I read them and I was sort of disappointed. But this book lives up to the mark. I love the twists. I love the way it was written. I love the shifting point of views. And I loved it overall. Okay guys, so something happened to my footage around this part, and I was going to recommend this book, Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata, which is a book about a woman and a man who don't live according to societal standards. People want them to get married because they are getting old, and they finally think that each other will be perfect. But then this book is more than that. This book is more about what it should mean to be a human. Does it only mean to marry or love or copulate or whatever? I really liked the plot and everything. And again, FML for losing this footage. But yeah, so sorry for this inconsistency. But yeah, here we resume. The last book that I want to recommend is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein. This is more for people who are into the young adult genre but also want to read literary fiction. It is obviously sort of centered around the story of Frankenstein, but on Frankenstein's lover more than Frankenstein itself. So yeah guys, that will be all for today's video. Let me know how many books you yourself read in 2019. I hope that you read a lot of books, but even if you didn't, I hope that you'll be taking some resolutions in 2020 to read more books. I'll make a lot of videos on book recommendations. I'll make a lot of videos on how to read more, and I'll make a lot of reviews on books also. I guess I have stopped for a long time, but I really want to resume that. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below about your favorite favorite books of 2019. I'm sure you guys have read a lot. I'm pretty sure even there are some people who have read more than 200 books in you guys. There are some people I have as friends on Goodreads. They have read like 300, 400 books, and I'm like, oh my god. But remember this always, reading is not a competition. You're a reader even if you have not read a book this year. You're a reader even if you have read 100 books this year. You're a reader even if you have read like 2 books this year. It doesn't really matter as long as you love reading and you stay connected with your passion as much as you can. Not everyone has the liberty or privilege to do the things they want all the time, but as long as you love them, you are someone who is a reader. Yeah guys, I'll leave you with that message. Till my next video. Bye bye.